My problem began with my shoes. I needed a new pair. It wasn't because they were no longer respectable, although that's true. But this wasn't about fashion. The shoes were falling apart. I couldn't keep them together any longer, not with glue, not even with duct tape. There were cracks and holes in the soles, so if it was wet out, my socks were soaked, and the tops of the shoes were ripped and dirty. I couldn't duck it any longer. I had to get a new pair of shoes. The trouble with that is that I couldn't afford it. Like a lot of people, I'm getting along by patching work together, so I'm living on a very tight budget, a shoestring budget, I guess you'd say. And I didn't have the money for new shoes. If you haven't noticed, and I'm talking about what used to be called sneakers, but are now called shoes, they are incredibly expensive. So there was my dilemma. I had to have new shoes, and I didn't have the money to buy them. I was explaining this to a buddy, and he said, "That's no problem. All you got to do is find the pair of shoes you want and rent them." "What?" "That's right. You can't rent shoes," I said. "Of course you can," he said. "You can rent anything. I should know. I don't own anything. I couldn't afford to live if I did. Owning stuff is for suckers. Everything I have, I rent. I'm renting the house I live in. I'm renting my TV, widescreen, HD. I rent my laptop and my smartphone. And the great thing about that is, it's so easy to upgrade." "I never heard of this," I said. "You live in the shadows, man. The deals are out there. Sometimes they don't call it renting. It's leasing or pay to own or installment plans, but it's all renting. I leased my ride, and when I needed new tires, you know how much a set of 4 new tires goes for these days? I'm renting my tires." "I had no idea," I said. "You're a Neanderthal. Get with it. Go rent some shoes." Feeling a little foolish, I went to a shoe store, walked up to a clerk, and said, "Can I rent a pair of shoes?" "Certainly, sir," he said. "What kind would you like? What size are you?" "Don't you have to do a credit check?" I said. He laughed. "Heck no. You have a valid driver's license and $20? Yes and yes. What kind of shoes do you want?" It was as easy as that. I walked out of the shoe store in a brand new pair of shoes. I felt like I could walk on water. It was great. In the end, I know it will cost about 3 times as much, but it's worth it because I can afford it, and meanwhile, I've got the shoes. I'm thinking things are really looking up. Until one day I woke up and I couldn't find my shoes. I looked freaking everywhere, could not find them. Finally, in desperation, I called the shoe store where I bought them. I told the guy I could not find my new shoes. He asked for my name and I gave it to him. "I'm very sorry, sir," he said. "We had to repossess your shoes." "What?" "Yes, sir, you missed 2 consecutive payments. We had to repossess the shoes." "I forgot," I said. "What am I supposed to do without shoes?" "If you make up the payments, plus there's a penalty charge, you can have the shoes back." What are you going to do with those shoes?" He laughed. "We have a full line of discount repo shoes. It's very popular. You might look into it. You can find some real bargains in there. I'm wearing a pair of them myself." So that's where I stand right now. I'm shoeless. I called my buddy, asked if he could go to the shoe store and look at the repo shoes for me, see if they have anything in my size. I threw my old shoes away. I can't go out just wearing socks, so I'm stuck unless he finds something. I wish now I'd never rented those shoes. I should have bought a pair of the cheap Chinese knockoffs, except they're not really that cheap, and they'd fall apart in 2 weeks and I'd be just as shoeless as I am right now. A lot of tough choices out there these days. I heard somebody talking about a government shoe program. Maybe I'll look into that.